Hi guys, today I am going to be making french fries, or if you're from England it would be considered chips. And the reason why I'm making this video is because a friend of mine actually came and visited me a couple months ago, and she asked me to give her some just general tips on how to cook, and I was like, well, that's easy enough. I'll make a couple of videos on YouTube on just general fun stuff. And the one thing nice about this is it's really easy. The hardest part about making french fries is waiting for the oil to heat up, honestly. This is what you're gonna want. It's basically a thermometer for making candy. You're gonna want one that goes up to 350 Fahrenheit. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to make a lot. You could do one potato, you could do a bunch of potatoes. It just depends upon what you're in the mood for. As I said, it's really easy. You just need a thermometer and I basically use canola oil. You could do vegetable oil. Soybean oil is also good, especially if you're watching your calorie intake. Me personally, I don't care about such things. And you're gonna want like a thick pot like this. You could probably do it in a thinner one. I prefer a thicker one just because I feel it has the illusion of being safe for me. And then, you know, you're gonna want to cut up your potatoes. What you're gonna want to do is, I cut mine basically this in about watch your fingers. I cut mine into slices like this first, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut them the opposite direction. And depending on how thick you want your fries to be, is basically, it doesn't really matter how thick you want them or how thin you want them. It's just preference. See, mine are about yay big. And then you could also go through them if you think that, you know, you cut one that's a little too wide for you, like say that's too thick for you, and you could just cut it down. And guys, you could also peel the skins if you prefer not to have the skins on them. I personally like the skins on them. But if you're going to leave the skins on your potatoes, just make sure you scrub them really good, and that way then you won't have any dirt left on it. And I'm doing this while I let the oil heat up, and on my stove you're gonna want it to heat up to 250 first, and on my stove it's 6, or I guess slightly above medium heat, like a medium heat. Nope. Those cut up into slices. Now at this point you can rinse them off if you want to get some extra starch off of them. I personally, I don't bother. Other things that I've read, like they're like, oh, soak them for 24 hours. And personally, I'm a little bit impatient when it comes to that stuff, and I have actually no issues with the way my french fries turned out the last couple of times I've made them. They're actually really crisp and really good. Alright. And what you're going to do is you're going to take like a towel that doesn't have a lot of fuzz on it, or you can even do this with paper towels if you want. I prefer to use towels for cooking because I just feel like it's wasting less paper. I'm not one for wasting if I don't need to. And you're just going to want to dry them off really good, and what that'll do is it will prevent a lot of splatter coming up from the fryer if you have one, or a pot like mine. And yeah, you're just going to get all that moisture off those fries, which will actually also help prevent a lot of excess moisture being in your oil. So there's my fries, pre-cooking. And then what you're going to do is you're going to stick your thermometer in the oil, and you're going to watch to see where it goes up to. Now guys, when you do this, don't let the tip of your thermometer rest on the bottom. That's the annoying part. You just want to let it sit on the upper part of the oil, but you don't want it to touch the bottom if you could prevent it from doing that. And you're going to want to let it go up to 250. Alright, I finally got my oil up to 250. You're also going to want one of these little suckers. I don't know exactly what you would call it, but this is good for scooping stuff out of the oil. And also I put my fries on here so then I'm not just throwing it into the oil, and I'm less likely to get splattered that way. So basically like this. Bubbles basically coming up from your fries are moisture getting cooked out of your fries. Now you're going to want to let this cook for about 5 minutes. And guys, it's going to be pale whenever they come out. They're not going to look like golden on this first time you fry them. They're going to look white, and you'll see like they'll look a little crispy, but they're not going to be crispy at all. And that's basically what you want whenever you fry them for the first time. So, and another thing, don't stir them around too much. Like you could kind of do what I'm doing, where you're just kind of shoving them along, but if you start stirring the oil, it has a tendency to pop, and the last thing you want to do is get burned. Yeah. And before I end this video, I will show you a quick trick on how to calm down very mild burns. I would not suggest it for anything more than like a red spot that you know is going to blister a little later. So yeah, you're going to let that fry for about 5 minutes. I'm getting close to the point where I'm going to take it out. And as you can see, it's still bubbling it's still bubbling a lot, which is normal. But whenever you make your fries, I would not put any more than this in, because you want to keep the temperature of the oil to about 250. So you want to, like, if you're going to do a really big potato, what you would do is you would do it in batches of 2, and in between your batches you would make sure that your temperature would get back up to 250 again, and that's for the best results in my opinion. And as you can see, they're still really pale in color, except for where you see the skins, but it's still really light. But that's, as I said, that's good. And then what you're going to do is you're going to carefully pull these suckers out, and you're going to put them back on your paper towel or your towel, as I'm doing it. Be careful not to burn yourself, please. I don't want to be the result of somebody getting horribly burnt and having to go to the emergency room. Another thing, always pull your handles in like this so it's not sticking out over top of, like out on the outer part of your stove, and that will actually prevent people from walking by and knocking it off the stove, especially have little kids running around, or you know, it's just really crazy in your house that day. I actually don't allow people in the kitchen when I am making fried stuff, because yeah, injuries are not my thing. Alright, and then for me, see, it's on 6 on my stove, so if I show you that, maybe you could judge as to where it should be on yours. Now I'm going to click it up to 7, and I'm going to bring my oil up to 350. Now it's going to take a little while for it to get back up to 350, but it's fine because then my french fries can drain. Hello. Alright, I just got my oil up to 350, and see how I'm kind of just doing a basket kind of like this, preventing oil from flying up at me, because guys, it's just really, really hot. And as you can see, the bubbling action is twice as much as it was before. Now, when it's up to 350, what you're going to do is you're going to cook them basically until they are of the color you want. Now, depending upon how you cut your potatoes, like you could actually do cubes. I did cubes the other night, and that turned out really good. But, you know, get them this golden color. It took a little longer than the sticks did. So, you know, depending upon how you cook them, you just basically go on the color. And that's pretty much where I want them. And you can tell they're a lot different. They're not as floppy whenever you pull them out the second time. They're nice, good, and crisp. And just be careful with your oil whenever you move it off the burner. I always put mine underneath the cooking fan. And kind of let them drain off for a bit so you don't have all this extra oil on there. I'm going to pull this carefully off of the burner. And then I'm going to grab my iodized salt, or uniodized, or sea salt, whatever salt you prefer. And then oh, that's more than I wanted. Grab it and you just kind of sprinkle it on. And there you have it. The perfect homemade french fries without going to a fast food restaurant. Ta-da! I hope you guys like these. They turn out really, really good. So write and tell me if you try them out. Let me know what you think. Bye! Guys, see how I have this little burn right there? How it's just a little pink? You know, it's just a little sore, and you know it's gonna blister later. A small tip what you could do is, what I do is I pour a little cold water on it. And guys, this does not burn whatsoever. It really doesn't. And then what you do, I put it up here because otherwise I can't get my hand on it. You just pour a little salt on it so it looks a little bit like that. I get it. I'll cover it over on that. And for some reason it takes the heat right out of the burn. And then you just let it dry. And then, you know, once it's dry and you don't want it on there anymore, what I do is I just put it under some cold water again, and there you go. That's a small tip on how to take care of really minor, one more time, minor burns. Just make sure that the skin isn't like torn open. Like if you had a blister and it's already torn open, don't put salt on it. But if it's just red and you know it's going to blister, that's a perfect tip for that.